We're live. Hey, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. We're so happy to be there. My name is Aishah McCoy, and this is my friend and colleague, Kasey Cromer. And we are just so thrilled to be finally vaccinated and to be able to have a live recording. And eventually, we hope to take this, to make this more interactive, to make this more of a live event. As people become more and more comfortable, people become vaccinated, and we're able to finally convene together once again. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. During our last conversation, we discussed the topic of how to establish and maintain mental wellness during divorce. So again, let's go. I'm just going to go ahead and introduce ourselves again because I just wanted to get the excitement out of the way of being finally live. But my name is Aishah McCoy. I am a family law and wills and trust attorney here in Austin, Texas. I have been practicing in the Central Texas area for about 12 years now. And I tell people that not only am I a lawyer, I am also a amateur fighter and a single mother. So our firm has the wherewithal to handle even the most high conflict cases out there. But what we really specialize in is ushering families into new expressions of their relationships in a very healthy way. And during our kickoff series on yoga wellness practices tailored to divorce clients, we discussed how to maintain mental wellness when you're navigating through divorce. So I have seen a huge uptick in my divorce cases lately. A lot of folks, a lot of families, couples splitting up after being sheltered in place for the past year and a half. And it's been very sad. It's a very difficult process for a number of folks. So when this happens, the question turns to, how do we take care of ourselves, and how do we take care of each other during this huge change? And this month, we're exploring the tactic of thought awareness as a means of maintaining mental awareness during the divorce process. So I'm going to go ahead and have my colleague Kasey introduce himself. So go ahead, Kasey. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, Aishah. Thank you so much for just creating this space for this conversation. It is really important in terms of really creating balance, especially during times of the clients you work with divorce, because it's a lot of change. And I would say with change, so oftentimes there's a great opportunity for growth and transformation. So just a little bit of my background for those who are unfamiliar with my work. I'm a yoga wellness practitioner, teacher, and coach. And I've been practicing yoga for over 8 years. And I've had the pleasure of working with companies and individuals since 2015, and had so many opportunities to really give individuals tools and techniques to be able to support them when they're having that moment of chaos. Mm-hmm. And I will definitely say, from some of the conversations we shared offline, divorce can have a lot of chaos. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Girl, yes.
Yes. So really important. Just the really like what Aishah said before. Our last conversation was centered around intention, and even though we didn't say intention this time, really the intention of this space, just reinforcing what Aishah shared, is to be able to create tools and techniques for balance of mental wellness. And what setting intention is really, really important, because really so much in life is all about the why. And oftentimes, to keep it super simple, setting intentions is about the why. Mm-hmm. Like, why we're doing what we're doing, what brings us back to practice, yoga wellness practice. Because there's so many different types of practice, right?
Yes.
There could be practicing not listening, practicing being upset, and really allowing the environment to move you to bad decisions or good decisions. And really, yoga wellness techniques really allow you that space to use neutral tools that have been tested for thousands of years, right? This has been around. It's not new when it comes to what we're going to talk about, but I will say we really bring it current. We really bring a new expression to really support individuals and make it relevant to your everyday life. So some of the things for setting intention I think is really important. Something as simple, especially, and I definitely want to hear from Aishah and her thoughts on this, is like being kind in difficult conversations during divorce, or really creating space for your children when it comes to a healthy environment for conversation without judgment. Or a simple thing like, I'm going to take a nice bubble bath at the end of each conversation I have with my partner because this is very difficult for me.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on that and when it comes to intention setting?
Well, there are so many thoughts that I have, so many, but before we delve into that, I wanted to just have a quick, quickly inform folks that what the purpose of our seminar is. The purpose of our seminar is to provide some general information to the community about divorce and maintaining wellness during divorce. We will be hosting monthly, for now, virtual seminars about specific topics in divorce. And our, like Kasey said, our goal really is to shift the collective perspective when it comes to divorce from a process that can be very traumatic to one that can be actually transformative. And this month, Kasey's going to go ahead and delve into some of those tips on how to navigate through that. Because divorce is difficult, but we know that there are ways to cope in a very meaningful way, in a very healthy way. So please visit my Instagram bio, McCoy at Law, for the link to other wellness resources and this webinar. We intend to record each of these sessions so that our viewers can tune in whenever it's convenient for them. And we really hope to form a community amongst the participants of our seminars. We hope that you all come back and are able to connect with each other. Because I've watched what my own clients go through, and from someone who has gone through the emotionally turbulent process myself, I can say that divorce can be a very isolating experience. So we formed this group, this webinar, and these sessions of webinars so that everyone can have a chance to connect and show support for each other through this shared experience. So thank you so much for letting me, put that quick interlude in there. So now that we've done our introductions and discussed the purpose of the seminar, now let's turn our discussion to the meat of the subject. So yes, Kasey, in our last conversation, we discussed the yoga wellness and the practice of setting intentions. Can you share some key points on intention setting and its value as a yoga wellness practice?
Excellent question. And I always start off with, before you get into a practice, Aishah, the importance of having that landing place. And oftentimes, like I was saying earlier, the why, that landing place that's relevant for the current experience that you're having. So divorce is a very specific experience that unfortunately many people go through. And when you're going through a divorce, it's like so many different things. At times, it can change. The environment can change. So even when you have an initial intention, you learn as an individual, and especially there's a level of really, if you're taking your time with your practices, understanding when the environment changed, having a flexibility with your intention is important. So meaning you may start off with one sort of approach, and then you realize, okay, this is starting to shift now. I'm experiencing this level of stress. I need to shift my intention. So one of the important things is to have flexibility with intention. That's really important, where you can shift and move, and also relevance. Because if the intention is not relevant, then it will not be something that you go back to.
Right.
And then I will also say practical is so important too. I think when you're going through a shift, and especially when it comes to something like what we were talking about today with a change in your family, it takes a different type of energy how you move through that than what you're accustomed to. Before, it was all about building and maintaining. And really with divorce, oftentimes from what you've shared with me offline, it's a level of deconstructing, tearing down, and reestablishing new types of relationships. So with that, it's just really, really important to make sure the intention really continues to be in alignment with that. And it can be multiple layers, right? Multiple layers as to what your intention is, to make sure there's certain intentions of how you are with yourself, how you treat yourself, how you are if you have children or other people that are really closely knit with the environment. And I will also say, oftentimes what's forgotten about, and I would love your opinion on this, is how you are working with the other party, who you're having the divorce conversation to separate. So the spouse is talking, and oftentimes we forget about that.
Yes, yeah. So okay. So my understanding is that when you're setting intention, it's important to maintain flexibility, and that it's relevant and practical. So with that said, what are some examples? What does setting intention include? What are some things that we can use?
Yes, well, I would say oftentimes what ends up happening is your demeanor changes, right? Where there's a level of upset, and normally when you're in a good environment with your relationship, you're responding in a place of kindness, and oftentimes that's forgotten. So I think one of the important things when it comes to divorce is making sure that you maintain an energy of kindness, as well as a perspective of willingness to listen to the other person. Because oftentimes, which we're going to get into thought awareness and how this impacts your intentions, right, as an actual technique, we forget about that. And it's like you're staying in the space of hurt. So really resetting that through yoga wellness techniques, how you are with the other person. So what are your thoughts on that, even when it comes to shift of spouses and how they treat each other, how important it is for them to be aware of what they're giving off in terms of demeanor?
Absolutely, because I've when you have a certain thought, the thoughts can be very overwhelming, and I actually have an example. I have what you were telling me actually brought to mind an example of one of the divorce clients that I'd been working with for a series of months, and she has been telling me that she was not getting any sleep because she was just so overwhelmed by these thoughts, and all these questions, these questions about that were really related to the uncertainty of her future, her children's future. They were starting to become extremely overwhelming and starting to take a toll on her health. And what she was doing was that she was letting these thoughts come in, these thoughts of, oh my God, the world is ending. I don't know what's going to be happening to my home. I don't know what's going to happen to my income. How are my children going to be supported? Where am I going to live? Da 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 da. And just but she was starting to allow these thoughts, or allow herself to have a very emotional reaction to them. And this emotional reaction was affecting her ability to work. It was causing her any sort of interactions that she had with her kids, her colleagues, even her soon-to-be ex-spouse were very tense interactions. They were pretty miserable, just to be honest. She would yell a lot. And even when the case escalated to a level of child endangerment, where Child Protective Services was eventually involved, and as things got more difficult, these negative thoughts would continue to perpetuate. And at that point, that's when she asked me for help. And as someone who's gone through the process of divorce personally, I told her this is what worked for me, and I emphasized how important it is to be just aware of our thoughts, because those thoughts impact our emotions, and in turn they affect the way we interact with people, and it can affect other people in a very negative way. And let me tell you, thought awareness it takes a lot of practice. And also we are coming out of this very unique situation, right? This unique situation collectively where we were all sheltered in place due to COVID. So we, like, as in me and my clients, became very isolated in our thoughts. Pre-COVID, we had the ability to dismiss these thoughts, so to speak, and by keeping busy in these busy in different activities, traveling, seeing friends, whatnot. But I noticed that my divorce clients and myself during this time had an even more difficult time trying not to have these thoughts overwhelm them. So with that said, Kasey, like, what are your thoughts on how yoga wellness practices can support increased awareness of our thoughts, so that we're not in this place of being completely overwhelmed by them and having this negative emotion reaction to them, and then having, like, in turn, these negative interactions with the folks in our circles? What do you think? What are some tactics that could help?
Yes, well, one of the things, I love the examples that you gave with your client, because one of the things that I can honestly say is thoughts are always going. When you're awake, thoughts are constantly happening. And really, one study showed last year that we get about 6,000 thoughts a day.
Wow.
6,000.
Goodness.
And that's really amazing. And imagine when you're under stress and change. I would say you probably get another 500 to 1,000, if not more, thoughts on top of that. So I think that's something to be aware of, that the goal of yoga wellness practices is not to stop thoughts, because thoughts will continue.
Mm-hmm.
However, using, since our focus is thought awareness techniques today, using these specific techniques I'm going to go over today to be kind of that lifeboat. Imagine, instead of it being literal water that you're on, right? That in the boat, imagine the wave of thoughts. The techniques will keep you above the thoughts. So it'll give you great opportunities to, first and foremost, some of the benefits of having techniques, thought awareness techniques, is to be the observer.
Mm-hmm.
And I know with you having your own practice, being an observer, meaning really taking a step back and I'm going to take you through a practice in the next few minutes, to take a step back and observe the types of thoughts that you're having. And really, once you are aware of the thoughts coming in and out of your mind, in the forefront of your mind, being able to identify patterns. Because there are certain themes, right? Like, for example, I'm a bit hungry right now, so some of the themes that come through that I'm focusing on specific practices of being in this conversation is like, oh, what can I eat? Mm-hmm. Those kind of things are kind of fun. Or, oh, if the body is doing certain things, if you're in a moment where you're not feeling well, it's like you have different themes around the body and not feeling well. And that's why it's so important in those moments to realize, like, these are thoughts, and figuring out how, with these techniques, how to pause. Have that moment of pause and an action, and say, hey, this is a thought happening right now. I'm aware of it. These are feelings happening when it comes to divorce that I'm having about this situation. And I don't need to react. And that's something that I even talked about in our last conversation when we were on setting intention, is really getting skilled at non-reaction. Because oftentimes when you react, and really with not having a good practice of thought awareness, what ends up happening, you start to shift your environment in a way, literally your environment of people, conversations are included in your space that you're taking up. You can create a space of negativity for yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
And so those are some things that I think are interesting. Can you talk to me a little bit about some of maybe a cautionary tale around lack of thought awareness and how it's impacted individuals' ability to have a successful and comfortable divorce?
Oh, yes. And, I think that as far as, like, I think that most of my clients have been in that spot, in this space of not, because I think that it can be very difficult to be like this observer when you're navigating through divorce, because you're especially moms, we're so focused on fulfilling so many different roles and wearing so many different hats, being PTA participant, being your kids tutor, their support, their mentor. With kids, you're fulfilling so many different roles. And so when you're giving so much energy to so many different people and so many different things, it can be difficult at times to have that moment of pause and say, okay, everyone, I need to take a break. So I think instead of a cautionary tale, what I can say is what worked for me, as I was navigating through my own divorce and fulfilling so many different roles and being having to be present for my kids, my friends, my clients and other people in my circles, is that I would say, okay, everyone, Mama needs to take a time out. Need to take a time out, and I will take whatever it takes, like 5 minutes in my car, 5 minutes while taking a shower, and just trying to detach from everything and being aware and saying, okay. And a lot of times it's like you have to ask yourself, okay, what does Aishah need today? What does Aishah need at this very moment? What do you need at this very moment in order to take a pause? And it's like, okay, well, I need to take a bath. I need to, get some rest. And so having that consciousness of being able to address what you need helps detach from these thoughts that would trigger these emotional reactions. So if you don't, and here's where the cautionary tale comes, because if you did, like I said, it does take a lot of practice and it can be really difficult to do at times. So as a cautionary tale, in the beginning of my divorce, when it was when I was very emotionally turbulent, I would allow these thoughts to overwhelm me, like oh my God, like, are the kids okay? Is Jackson going to be affected by this? Is Ellis going to be affected by this? Like, what will I tell my friends? What will I tell my family? Am I this complete loser? Because I can't make it work. And I started yelling at my kids a lot, like getting really angry, and I wasn't liking myself, and and my kids didn't want to be around me because it was just like, oh, whoa, Mom's going to start yelling at us again, and so that's really no way to live, and that's no way to raise children, and I had to, and when one time I yelled at my son and he started crying, and I was like, oh, dang it, but and it's so easy to be like, okay, I'm really traumatizing my kid, but it took a lot of strength and just self-awareness to say, okay, I need to take a pause. I'm aware that these thoughts are triggering these emotional reactions that are causing me to have very intense, emotionally charged reactions, and it's not healthy, it's not helpful, and so and so that's why I really emphasize the need to find the strength within yourself to say, okay, I need to take a pause so that I can be aware of my thoughts and how they're affecting me. So I know it's a little bit of a long example. It's a little personal, but it's what we learn. Your children, your family, your friends, they learn from your own journey. Your kids learn more from your mistakes, and then they learn more from your mistakes than what you do right. So please don't, if you end up feeling overwhelmed, if you find yourself trapped and feeling overwhelmed by these negative thoughts and having an emotional reaction, please forgive yourself. Mm-hmm. Don't you think, pause and forgive yourself, because know that what matters is that you learn from your mistakes, and you and you have the strength within yourself to take that pause. So
No, I love that, and I love
yes.
that example. And as we go through, I'm going to show you a thought awareness technique that really supports a lot of what Aishah stated before. Is really finding that pause, especially because one of the great things I love that you shared is there's an emotional connection around when we get so caught in our thoughts, depending on what the subject matter is, and that's why I'm going to take you through a technique now of really how to be the observer, and really to be in a space where you don't immediately react, but just watch and observe the thoughts. And then as we go and finish this conversation, really talk about what does it look like to kind of capture the thoughts and really create an action plan around that, so that you can have those, like what Aishah gave the example of, those great interactions with the children and support them emotionally and support herself as well. So just take a moment now as we go into this thought awareness technique. Allow yourself, if you're seated in a chair, to sit up as tall as you can. And
I'll do it with you.
Yes, please do so. And if your back is resting against the chair, if you can, if you're willing and your body is able, just move a little bit away from the back of the chair. This allows you to really start to engage your abdomen, your core, and really use a slight engagement there to support your lower back. And as you support your lower back, closing your eyes with your next deep inhale breath that really starts to arrive in your body, deep exhale breath. And really what you're doing right now is just using the breath initially just to connect in with yourself. And you can allow your body to relax, including your hands, wherever they are, whether on the desk or on your lap. Just allow that exhale breath to really just get you in your body and let go of any tension or any tightness. So for the next inhale and exhale breaths, notice how the body feels. And really just see with the breath in this moment where there's any tension. So allow yourself just to do a slight body scan from your feet and bring that awareness up the body at your own pace. And as you bring that awareness of the breath with your intention of focus right now, with your mind, bring it to any space as you rise that awareness up the body to any space where you're like, I notice within my shoulders a little bit of tension. And really, in that awareness of the tension, deepen that inhale even more to rise into that space of where the tension is. And then really with that exhale breath, use that exhale breath to relax your jaw, your shoulders, any tension within the body. And just flow with the breath for a moment. And as you're flowing with that awareness of the inhale and exhale breath, if a thought comes, deepen that inhale and exhale breath, because really at this moment, you're just looking to connect in with the breath. And really the breath for a moment is being that life raft for you with the thoughts. As the thoughts rise, deepen that inhale and exhale breath is to really be in that space of, as thoughts come in, just acknowledge just a thought. And just see how long that thought stays within your focus, and use that breath to allow the thought to pass. And as each thought comes into focus, continue the practice of mentally just saying just a thought. And continue to be in that breath, in that space of understanding that the breath is really being your safety container, and that you're just observing the thoughts. And if you notice that a thought takes you to a different space, an experience, an emotion, allow that breath and your focus to go back into the breath for a moment until the thought passes. And as you're taking an inventory of your mind, of the patterns of thoughts that are coming, notice if you can see if there's any connection between the thoughts, any subject that comes up in particular, any topic. And really just breathe into that space and just still notice just the thought. And as the thoughts rise and fall, see if you can find that space where the mind settles. And if it doesn't settle, it's okay. You're just still staying within the boat of your breath to keep you here in your body. And just keep taking in as an observer of the thoughts. And as each thought passes you by, you're still lengthening out the breath when needed. If you find yourself going to a particular time and going away from the body, and you're still like, even for that moment, like, oh, I went away for a moment. And you bring yourself back to the breath. And just keep deepening inhale and deepening exhale. And just staying within that space. And if you notice that there's a moment where there's no thoughts, where there's a level of silence, can you allow yourself to be in that space of the silence? And allow yourself to really breathe in that space of the silence. And see if you can allow yourself to notice if it has any impact on your ability to feel calm. So we're just going to stay here for a moment, just being aware of thoughts. And when they settle, see if you can allow yourself to be in the space of the silence and just be in that space. And just continue to just breathe in and breathe out for a moment. And I'm going to be quiet, and this is just for a moment of silent contemplation, just being in that space. Still eyes closed if you're comfortable. If not, you can open it. But the eyes closed is a very effective way of just staying inwardly. And just stay within that space for a moment. Inhale, exhale, observing the thoughts as they come. And then really just see if you can cultivate that in between of silence, where there is no thought. And allow yourself to really hear the sound of silence in between the thoughts. There's a level of sound, believe it or not, when it comes to between the thoughts and between the breath, where you can find that space of relaxation and clarity. Now taking in 3 of your deepest inhales, just to really be in that space right now. 3 of that deepest exhales, if you are in that space of silence, just really cherishing that. And when you get to that 3rd exhale breath, slowly bring your palms together, your left and right palm. And I love to connect and feel, to add this to the practice here, and feel your left and right palm touching skin to skin, and feel the warmth. And if you allow yourself, let this be a part of your practice as you start your thought awareness practice, as a way of symbolizing wholeness. And this can be your intention of, when you feel fractured, just bring your palms together with your breath. Now taking in one more deep inhale breath. And as you exhale, bowing chin to chest. And it symbolizes just gratitude. And then when you're ready, come to a comfortable seated position. And as we come to a comfortable seated position, and feel free if you want to chat, chime in any thoughts. I definitely want to hear Aishah's thoughts on her own practice and what came up for her. Anything that you feel comfortable sharing.
Well, I think that, you have shared, Kasey has shared these practices with me, or this exercise in particular, when I was going through my own divorce. And it's something that I've actually passed on to my clients, and it's been especially helpful. But I think, like, as what my takeaway is that if you continue with these practices, you'll find that we have the ability to control what we think about. And, there's research out there that confirms that we have these thoughts that come to us at one at a time, and we choose which thought to have. And if we focus on the positive aspects of our lives, we, as in me and my clients, folks going through divorce, we can overcome the fear of the future. But if we focus on the negative aspects, we will be overcome by fear. So yes, the first the first step in controlling our thoughts is to separate our awareness from those thoughts. In other words, we have the consciousness that that is separate from our thoughts. We are not our thoughts. We are not our thoughts, but we can be overwhelmed by them. But simply observing simply observe your thoughts second by second, and by being this observer in your thoughts, being able to be comfortable with sitting in that silence, you can avoid the negative emotion reaction that follows. So thank you so much, Kasey. Do you have anything else to add to our discussion?
I love that what you shared, and really what I just want to really final thoughts is really how to establish a thought awareness practice, right? So
yes, give us some key points to consider
yes.
as we create our thought awareness practice.
Yeah, so the first thing is really setting up time. It is, if you're not intentional, just like you set up your schedule for the different events throughout your day, setting up time just for the practice. And I would say 5-10 minutes just to start morning and evening.
Right. And the thing is that people always say, a lot of people say, oh, well, I don't have time for it. That's a load of baloney. That's baloney. You have the time. It's about prioritizing yourself. Because if mama's not happy, if you're not happy, no one's going to be happy. So put the oxygen mask. This is your oxygen mask. Put the oxygen mask on yourself. What I like to do is that on my calendar, I will set a reoccurring calendar appointment for a 10-minute date for myself early in the morning. And no one knows, my assistant knows, my staff, they know not to schedule me during that time. And make that time sacred. So yes, aside from establishing a regular time to practice, what else can we do?
No, I love those thoughts and very practical what was shared. Setting up the right environment, right? Your space, like and I would say space in your home or wherever you live that is comfortable, and I would say some examples would be if you have a space in your bedroom where you have pictures and colors and art and a comfortable cushion. It's really setting up the right environment so it's inviting for you to come back to that space is really important. And then also, like I said before, we said earlier at the beginning of this conversation, checking the intention. Checking the intention is really, really important. And one of the things is your environment, your people. One of the things that Aishah shared comfortably was about her work with me in this specific practice. I was a part of her ecosystem of support. So having the right support environment is very important in terms of people that will I don't like the word accountability, but someone you can really talk to about the practices that you're doing and really bounce ideas. And then I would say the last thing, even if you're not a big writer, I think journaling, thought patterns or certain things we talked about within the practice is really, really important because it allows you to be in a space of learning about how your thoughts may shift from time to time, how your thoughts may shift. And one of the things that I really want to hit home about what Aishah said earlier, we're not our thoughts. One of my favorite quotes about thoughts in the mind from a teacher that I really connect with, Sri Ramana Maharshi, states that apart from thoughts, there is no such thing as the mind. And really, when you think about that quote, all these thoughts form this opinion about who we are, right?
Absolutely.
And then when you start to allow yourself to be that observer, you start to realize that really, it's just what I thought was my mind and who I am is really just a collection of thoughts.
Yeah.
And that's what I will end with, but I will definitely want to have Aishah do any final thoughts as well on what I just shared.
Right. And and I just wanted to quickly summarize because we lost a little bit of internet connectivity here in the office. So I just want to make sure that everyone got those tips. So just to summarize, the Kasey is an amazing wellness practitioner. He's helped me through my own divorce, and his tips and tactics have helped my own clients through their divorce. So again, some key points to consider when you create your thought awareness practice. Make time for yourself. Schedule some time, whether it's even 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Make it a priority. Set up a space for yourself, a sacred space to do this practice. Make it a ritual for yourself. Make sure your intentions align with those thought patterns. Invite like an accountability partner, someone who can kind of check in on you to see how you're doing. Kasey was my accountability partner, and thank heavens that he was there. And if you're, you can also set up a journal after practicing any negative thought patterns. Journaling these thoughts will help you develop those strategies on how to take that much needed pause while you're going through the divorce process. So thank you so much, Kasey, for joining us today. I appreciate everyone taking the time. Please feel free again to check out my Instagram bio, McCoy at Law, for more wellness seminars. You can also follow my colleague Kasey at it's Yoga Wellness by Kasey. That's Kasey is Kasey, Yoga Wellness by Kasey. Follow us on Instagram. We'll have more wellness tips on how to maintain your mental wellness during divorce, very practical tips that are going to be very helpful and will hopefully change the way that we process divorce as one that has been traditionally seen as destructive to one that's actually very transformative. And again, check out our YouTube bio as well, because we have more of these wellness seminars recorded for you folks. So thank you again, everyone. We appreciate you.
One quick thing too.
Please do.
I'm currently working, accepting one-on-one client work too. So for those who want to work one-on-one, and you need that high level of support, I'm reach out to me on Instagram, as well as we'll announce this once it's happened. I'll start doing public teachings and meditation basics, as well as beginner yoga classes starting in July. So I'll be promoting that more and more in the upcoming month, so I can really get people started on their journey of their practices. So that's all I will add, and I'm so excited to be a part of this.
Yes, this is exciting, guys. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye.